How about it, y'all? This is Daniel Nicholson from Nicholson Farms, and welcome back to another video. We are officially 1 month away from breeding season, so we got several things to do this afternoon. First, we got to finish our feed troughs that we built several weeks ago. I never got the chance to put oil on the base of them, but we got to get those in the pasture because today we're going to start nutritionally flushing our does. So let's get these feed troughs knocked out the way, and then I'm going to take you up to the pasture and we're going to talk about what is nutritionally flushing our does doing for us, and how we do it here at Nicholson Farms. So I hope you enjoy the video. Let's get to it. So I never really got the chance to put our oil on these feed troughs that we built several videos back. I was gonna definitely put some used motor oil on all these, the feet that goes on these feed troughs right here, but I never really got the chance. Running out of time today. We need some of these feed troughs, so we're just going to put them out. We'll put some oil or some kind of sealant on them later, but I'm just going to set up the camera real quick, put it on a time lapse. We're going to get all these feet put on here. We're going to load them up on the trailer over there, and we're going to get them out so we can talk about the real subject today. So we got all the feed troughs dropped off except for two. Those last two are going to go to the pasture where the nannies are now. They're up there by the highway. It's about 5 o'clock, so there's a lot of traffic. And plus there's a little wind today, so I wanted to talk about the nutritionally flushing does down here at the house before we got up there and looking at them. But first I want to show you the new feed we got. We get 1 ton at a time, so these are half a ton sacks. This time my feed's a little bit different. It's all pellets. Me and the guy at the feed mill had a little misunderstanding. This is what he made me, but it's the same protein content as what I was getting, and actually this stuff is a little bit better, but it was a little more pricey, but that's all right, we'll use it. But it's a 14% crude protein. I think it's 27% fat. I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to tell you. I don't have the paper on me right now, but it is 14% beef conditioner pellet. So it's made for beef cows, but it's been working well on these goats. The last ton that we got was for cows, but at our feed mill we can't get feed for the goats in bulk. We have to buy it by bag, and buying it by bulk saves us a lot of money. But it's just sitting here on the trailer right now. I got a buddy, he's going to drive his front end loader down here in a little while and help me get these underneath the barn. So let's talk about this nutritionally flushing does. So the question is, what is nutritionally flushing does and how do you do it? So nutritionally flushing does is you're upping the nutrients that you're providing the does prior to breeding. In our case, we're going to do it for 1 month. You can do this by grain, you can do it by pasture, or by hay. You're just upping the nutrients that those goats are accustomed to and hope to accomplish two things. The main goal is to have a higher kidding rate. Your does are going to have a stronger estrus cycle where they're dropping more eggs, and hopefully to increase conception once you put your bucks in. Secondly, you're kind of just helping those does out body condition wise so they can have a healthier pregnancy. So that's pretty much how it's done. There's a lot of studies that have shown how this really does help. I'll leave a couple links in the description box for where I kind of did my research a couple years ago on this topic. But there's been studies showing where it can increase your production by 10 to 20%, which is pretty good whenever you're thinking on a large-scale operation. We're not quite to a large-scale operation yet, but we're hoping to get there soon, so we're going to keep doing this. I know last year was the first year that I did this, and I don't know my kidding rate the previous year, but last year my kidding rate was about 170%. So we're hoping to bump that up even a little bit more this year. So that's why we do it. How we do it is a different story. So there is some pros and cons to it. Your cons are that it's going to cost you a little bit of money and time. You're going to have to take the time every day for at least a month and a half to a little over a month and a half to feed these goats every day. And you're also going to have some feed costs involved into it. But hopefully that feed cost is outweighed by the production side of it. How many kids that you're able to sell at the end of the year. So kind of how we do this for our situation, there's two different ways you can do it. One is for 30 days or a month, and the other one is just a 2-week window. For us, we do the 30 days or a month. We're going to take a half a pound per head of feed to these girls every day for 2 weeks, and then after those 2 weeks we're going to bump it up to 1 pound per head per day, kind of slowly, gradually give them that nutrition so it doesn't really upset their stomachs too bad. Hopefully it doesn't affect them, and hopefully they can start absorbing the nutrients that they're going to need to get bred. So if you're doing it for 2 weeks, you're going to want to, sorry, I got rivers here in my lap. But if you're doing it for 2 weeks, you're just going to kind of slowly bump them up for those 2 weeks until you get to that 1 pound. Start at a quarter pound per head per day, and just every day just kind of raise it up a little bit, until you get that 1 pound, and that should help. But like I said, in our case, we're just going to do the whole month. Rivers, I'm going to have to stand up. Sorry. So if you're doing grass, you're just going to put them on a really good pasture. Whether you got alfalfa growing, fescue, just a high protein grass that is growing will help. Also some real good quality hay, you can do it that way. So kind of in our circumstance, the reason we're doing this now and the reason we try to breed in this year is for several different things. Number one, we want our babies born after the last frost. Our last frost is going to be April the 20th on average. And so today's October the 20th, November the 20th, the buck will be put in 5 months later. In theory, we're going to have some babies on the ground. So that's one reason we kind of breed in this area, this time. But another one is for feed. Right now, everything's kind of going dormant. And so I'm sorry, I keep looking at the goats, but by adding grain into the equation now, we're getting these goats prepared for winter, where we're going to be feeding them a little bit. Not all the time, but we are going to be feeding them a little bit more. So we're going to go ahead and feed these girls for that 1 month, nutritionally flushing them. After that, we're going to add the buck in. And for another 3 weeks, we're going to feed these girls that 1 pound of feed per head per day, just so that buck can catch 2 estrus cycles while we're nutritionally flushing these does. Then after that, we're going to cut them back off, not completely off of feed, but we're going to cut them back to probably about a half a pound of feed per day. In the first month of their 4 months of their gestation, they really don't need that much nutrition. That last month is when you're really going to focus on it. So we're going to bump it up again then. But this allows us to feed them a little bit throughout the whole winter when we're probably need to feed them when our grass isn't the best. They don't have as much quality forage to go through. So we're gonna be feeding them anyways during the winter, so why not be feeding them while they're pregnant, so we're not dumping money into them all year long on grain. So I'm kind of rambling a little bit, telling you a little bit more than nutritionally flushing, but that's why we're doing it, forage production, hopefully to get more kids out of these girls, hopefully to be a little more profitable. So let's take these last 2 feed troughs up to the front pasture. We'll feed these girls and kind of look over how their condition are right now, and maybe we can pick it up on camera from a month from now if they've gained any weight or just how they look. So it's nice to see that the feed trough fits all the girls. And hopefully this feeding them right before we start breeding will pay off. So as far as the bucks go, we're just kind of feed our bucks year round, just kind of keep them in good body condition. We are gonna make sure that we are feeding them every day for the next month, hopefully just to kind of increase their activity level, I guess you can say. We're gonna be running these guys through the chute here soon, trimming feet and deworming them if we have to, just to kind of make sure they're in tip-top shape. But we're gonna see if these troughs are brisket friendly. He tore up my last set, so we'll kind of see how they do. But as far as the bucks go, they're just kind of get fed year round anyways. A lot of times because they're with brisket, we're feeding him anyways, or either they're with the young bucks that we're trying to grow out. My buddy's pulling up with the tractor to unload this feed. I'll get a couple clips of that while we're unloading it, but I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I really appreciate y'all hanging out with us today. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we'll see y'all on the next one.